now the defenders of the stronghold of democracy and of equal opportunity.
You and I, as citizens, have the obligation to shape the debates of our time, not only with the votes we cast, but with the voices we lift.
The people are looking for honest answers, not easy answers.
The very word secrecy is repugnant.
Clear leadership.
And we are, as a people,
not false claims and evasiveness and politics as usual.
Opposed to secret societies.
As a people, we cannot afford to let any group of citizens or any individual citizen live or labor under conditions which are injurious to the Commonwealth.
Black, white, Latino, Asian, Native American, young, old, gay, straight, men, women, folks with disabilities, all pledging allegiance under the same proud flag to this big, bold country that we love. That's what I see. That's the America I know.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
Welcome to the Aggressive Progressive Podcast. I am your host, Chris Hahn. I'm at Christopher Hahn, and that's Christopher Hahn NY on Instagram and ChristopherHahn.com. Thank you for watching, liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, and make sure you share it. Share it with your friends. I got to get this thing up. Got to get the numbers up. Hook it up. Let's talk. I think I'm getting tired of the press being so anxious to find Trump voters who are angry with Trump. Trump's been president for 40 days, not even 35 days. Whatever Trump has done so far has not impacted these people. And in fact, they probably like what they're seeing. They think that government is bloated, and they might be right in some respect. And they're seeing these anecdotal, items being posted on the Doge website saying, look what we found, with no explanation. Because, when you're explaining in politics, you're losing. Like, for example, I was on TV last night with Rona Romney McDaniels, former chair of the RNC, who, by the way, I've met, and she's a lovely human being. And I think NBC probably should have kept her, or CBS or ABC, whoever she went to. And I've been on record on that before, because I think, having different opinions is actually a good thing. Some of you are listening to me on the radio right now on stations that have very different opinions than I do. But I digress. I was on with Rana, and Rana brought up an example of the Government Services Administration having more subscriptions to a certain computer program than there are people who work at the Government Services Administration. Now, I worked in government, worked in the United States Senate, and I know what the GSA does. The GSA sets up offices for the rest of the government all over the country, including members of Congress, including members of the Senate, including, the different agencies. The GSA is kind of like the building managers of the government. They find you your office space. They find you your office supplies. They find you your desks. And guess what else they do? They sometimes get you email programs and Microsoft Word. So I explained, yeah, that sounds great, that this is a huge waste, that they've got, 10,000 more subscriptions than they have employees. But then you have to ask yourself the question, why do they do that? And it's because they are paying for subscriptions for other parts of the government that are actually doing other work. So let's just be very clear right now. There's a lot of that in what's being found, right? Somebody was talking about a study, and they don't like this study, they don't like that study. Well, I know a lot of you out there are on Ozempic. I'm not. My doctor won't give it to me. I keep asking, but he keeps saying no. That came out of a study 20 years ago of lizard saliva funded by the National Institute of Health. So, they're putting up all these things. Do we really need to understand why frogs have warts? Like, are we willing? You hear Senator Kennedy, do I really have to say? Do I really need to pay for a study to tell me why pigs like to be around mud? Well, I know that the average person hearing that will rightfully say, oh my God, what a waste of money. But a U.S. senator and people who go on television and, dare I say, the president of the United States, before they make these cuts, they should know what they're cutting. They should understand why these things are useful. And of course, you're going to find some things that are not. I mean, I talked about the Sesame Street thing last night and how I think it's actually useful to teach people, kids in Iraq, not to hate America. I just think that's a useful thing that'll save us money down the road. Just call me crazy, but, I've lived through the first and second Gulf War in my lifetime, and they cost us a lot of money. And I think spending some money to produce Sesame Street in Iran or Iraq, God, let's produce it in Iran if we can. I think it actually might save us money down the road. Just saying, just like, studying lizard saliva led to Ozempic. And now millions of people are thinner than me, and they're not working out as hard as I am to do it. So, okay, right? You never know where these studies are going to lead. And that's why you need to talk to the scientists and understand why they think this might be something to study. And you might not even know when you're first trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure things out. That has what has made us a leader in the world in the area of bioscience, in the world of tech, in the world of engineering, because we've funded studies. Some of them seem absurd on their face that have led to other discoveries. And if you want to just cut it all out and let China do it, let Europe do it, we will fail to lead this world. We won't continue to lead this world anymore. And our industries will suffer and our wealth will get smaller. It's just that simple. Maybe understand what you're cutting. Maybe understand what you're putting up on that Doge wall before you start calling it a victory, because a lot of it is going to cost us in the long run. I am your host, Chris Hahn. I'm at Christopher Hahn on X, Christopher Hahn, NY on Instagram, and ChristopherHahn.com. Those are my socials. Make sure you check me out there. ChristopherHahn.com. You can email me if you don't like something I'm saying. And if you're not already watching me on YouTube, make sure you go to @TheAggressiveProgressive on YouTube. New shows 5 days a week, sometimes 6. Who knows? Check me out on YouTube @TheAggressiveProgressive on YouTube, and you could download the audio version of the Aggressive Progressive podcast wherever you get your podcasts. So we're talking about Doge and Elon Musk and all the confusion. I just think, I want to go back to this. I know I talked about this yesterday. It is so reckless what they're doing, because you're going to lose good people. Like, what if you're an engineer or a scientist who went to work for the federal government right out of college? You could have done other things. You go to work for the federal government because you want to serve the public, and you think you have an opportunity to really do some groundbreaking research or some groundbreaking engineering or something that's going to help the country. And you're 6 months into your job. Now you're getting an email from a guy who calls himself Harry Balls, by the way, on the internet. No, that's Elon. I'm not making that up. Look it up. Called himself Harry Balls, right? Maybe his compadre who calls himself Big Balls, BOLZ, I guess, sends you an email saying justify your existence or quit. Or it calls you into the office and says quit. Or you're a probationary worker and they're just cutting you out because why not? Right? Well, you're going to go do something else if you're talented. And maybe we were fortunate to have some of these people. And now those talented people are going to say, why am I wasting my time here when I could go work in, the private sector? I could go, some of them could say, I'll go work in a European Union lab. Why am I going to, sit here and wait for the axe to fall on my head? And also, how are you going to recruit top talent to the federal government, given this willy-nilly, axe approach to hiring and firing? When you do it that way, when you write emails to people, say justify your existence, you might be able to fire some bad people, right, that are not doing any work for the government, that have, are not, they're just there taking up space. I'm sure there are a lot of them. But you're going to also lose the good people who are like, what the hell am I doing here? Even if they reply to your stupid email, you're going to lose the people who make things work. And when you lose the people that make things work, bad things happen. To get back to the original thought I had at the top of this broadcast, I'm sick of them, waiting, 35 days in, going and looking for Trump voters to say change their mind. Why would they change their mind? There's been no consequence yet to the actions. The consequence come when there aren't good people to run the government. The consequences come when the government can't even hire good people to run the government, because why would they come here? So I am, I think the media needs to, maybe wait 6 months, wait until inflation's out of control, which it's already started to tick up. Wait till the stock market is, reconciled with whatever this is going on here with the economy, with tariffs and everything else. Wait until, they fired half of the IRS workers, but now nobody's getting their tax refund. I pay taxes. I'm going to owe. A lot of people who file don't owe. A lot of people who file get a refund, and they're going to be mad. Most people who work just on wages, who have a job in a company, pay more than they need to pay the federal government. They file their taxes, they reconcile that, and they get a check back. A lot of people look forward to that check. So I am just, of the mind right now that, wait till the consequences actually happen. And then we could start, going to people and saying, do you regret your vote? Do you regret your vote? Because they don't regret it now. And I've often said this too. It's very difficult in today's day and age to get anybody to change their mind, right? People have 100 followers on Facebook, and they post that they love Donald Trump. And even if Donald Trump does things that make them hate Donald Trump, they're not going to take it back anymore. They don't want to show the 100 people on their Facebook that they were wrong, especially if they've got like some annoying friend like me who's like, stop saying you love Donald Trump. He's doing nothing for you, blah, blah, blah. Right? Not that I do that. I don't tell my friends. I don't use Facebook that way. If you want to know my political opinion, you can watch me on YouTube or listen to this show, or, follow me on X. I don't do Facebook fights anymore. I used to. It's been a long time though. But people don't take back their opinions. They think I am this way. I have staked my claim on this, and I'm going to hold my ground. So now, we've got a guy who's elected president. A lot of people that even voted for him didn't like him, but they thought he was better than the alternative for God knows what reason. How are you going to get them 35 days in to say that they made a mistake? You're not ever going to do that. That's not going to happen. So stop asking. It's a stupid question to begin with. Are people concerned with the policies? Yes. All the reports I've seen, even his voters, are concerned with some of the policies and the way he's handling things. They don't think there's a lot of compassion in the way they're operating the government right now. And that is 100% true. Elon Musk doesn't have compassion. He said that himself. But you're not going to get them to change their mind yet. You might not ever get them to change their mind, or ever at least admit it. It's not what people do anymore. That's a problem. It's a big problem in our politics. I mean, admitting that you're wrong, changing your mind, being able to change your mind because you find new evidence, I think is important to a functioning democracy. Just call me crazy. I've changed my mind, and I've got a lot of followers. I've said things on TV that I was wrong about and came back and said I was wrong. Do it on this podcast all the time. And I will continue to do it, because when I have new evidence and new information, I might decide or learn that I was wrong. That's what happens. I think that's what the scientific method is, but maybe we won't ever know that anymore, because Elon's firing the guy that keeps the records on that. All right, going to remind you now, as I always do, to seek the truth, question everyone and everything, even me. Seek the truth. I know it's out there, and I know you'll find it if you look for it. And I'll be back here again real soon to tell you the truth as I see it. I'm Chris Hahn. Thanks for joining me on the Aggressive Progressive Podcast.